My name is Kevin Kemble, and welcome to Kemble Corner. And today I'm here to talk to you about the 5% pied-à-terre tax that has officially gone into law. Kemble Corner today. Welcome to Kemble Corner. It is the beginning of June in 2026, the summer season in New York for real estate. I'm also a Bitcoin person, so the Bitcoin block height right now is 952,375. If you know, you know. Happy Pride to everybody out there. To the divas, to the dolls, to the bricks. To the masks, to the femme, to everybody in between, to the seen and the unseen, and to the straights too. I love Pride. It's my favorite season of the year. It's also the beginning of real estate's summer season, so it has all sorts of good stuff going for it. So happy Pride to everybody from Kemble, from me, and from everyone at Kemble Realty. I actually did make a video about this 5% tax when it first was proposed, before any of the language came out. And we'll talk about it later, but I'm new to the video shooting game and editing game, and I am gonna... because I did take too long to edit it, and maybe there'll be some scenes somewhere. I'll probably post it for posterity just to say, hey, here's what I had before the law came out, but it took me so long and other things were going on that the law passed. And we're going to go over for when anything gets denounced, especially when it comes to Mamdani. And it is the same every single time, and especially if people, rich people especially, have to pay something. And we're talking about the super rich here, because if the super rich are struggling to pay their tax bills, then who isn't struggling to pay their tax bills? I don't get it. So their struggle might be a little overblown. But here's how the playbook is. New thing gets announced, headlines drop, group chats are going, then a bunch of them go on TV and go on podcasts, and then they cry. And they tell you how horrible this is, and the sky is falling, and these people have more money than they ever know what to do with. If they have to pay one extra penny, it is over. It is over for the United States. And then after that, you know, and James Whalen from Rebney and Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Chunderful, they are probably the worst two when it came to this. Is they love to oracle about the future. Oh, there's not going to be any tax money. Oh, there's not going to be any... retail funds because these people aren't going to be here. Oh, they're not even going to build. Now that the actual law has come out, it doesn't seem like anyone's too fazed by it. See, the change here happened a little differently. The initial plan that was the proposal that no one had any information for, that everyone was crying about, said it was going to be like a flat 5% on everything above $5 million. And that isn't technically how it all shook out. And what's interesting is one of these guys, there was one video I remember seeing on Twitter where they were talking about, well, why don't we start it at something lower? Why don't we start at $1 million or $2 million?
Why not go further? Why $5 million? Why not $2.5 million? Why not $1 million, especially if it's a second home and especially if it's empty?
Because $5 million just kind of seemed like an arbitrary number to pick out. And the mansion tax that we have, which we'll talk about in another video, is it starts at $1 million. So it feels like if we're going to have a mansion tax start at $1 million, we've already have a precedent for things starting at $1 million, then starting at $5 million. So we started at this flat 5%, and now we've moved into this second tier where the first phase is 4 to 6.25% on different parcels, which I'll show in a minute. And then the rest is a phase 2 where it goes down, but the valuation has gone up. So it's balanced as all things should be. How the law actually reads is it's broken into 2 phases. The first phase is actually a ramp up period, and it actually includes different valuations, and it starts at $1 million, just like I said with that mansion tax. So it's 1 to 3 pay 4%. Then you go from 3 to 5, they pay 5.25. And then when you hit $5 million, it's 6.25%. So it's a decent chunk of change. It's a good amount of money. And then in the years 2028, 2029, phase 2, those initial lower ones, they are gone. And now we're just doing $5 million to $15 million. And they are at 0.8%. So kind of the same. If you've noticed, we've just kept the numbers pretty much the same on each phase. But what we're doing is we are saying, hey, now that we've properly evaluated things, now that we see how much a property actually costs, whether it's 5 to 15 or 15 to 25 or 25 and up, because, and one of the problems when we look about Ken Griffin is he pays a tax rate, technically, on his property now that the people who are paying $10 million paid. But that's not fair to them either. So even like the other rich are getting screwed by the super rich. So we're just paying attention to how all of that flows. Now we have to talk about Ken Griffin when it comes to the Pied-a-Terre tax. And the main reason is because he bought, back in 2019, the most expensive condo unit that has ever been sold in New York City. It's 220 Central Park South, and he paid $238 million for it. But he lives in Florida.
Ken Griffin is one of those few people in America who has both the money and the ego to try to shape cities to his will.
This Ken is one of the world's richest men. The Citadel CEO and hedge fund manager is no stranger to extreme wealth and success. But he set a new standard for conspicuous consumption when he walked into 220 Central Park South and bought the most expensive residential property in US history.
4 full floors of a new condo off Central Park for $238 million. That makes it the most expensive home ever sold in the United States.
Now, Griffin already owned several high-end properties around the world, but this became the crown jewel of his portfolio. He later went on to buy 2 additional units within the same building. With 118 apartments, the 220 project combines a shorter 18-story structure known as the Villa with a much taller 70-story tower behind it.
Stephen Roth treated that building less like a condo and more like his own personal country club. So he took a really significant interest in who was buying there, who would be allowed to come and see the units. So it created this velvet rope effect where, you know, if you weren't allowed to be in there, you wanted to be in there even more. And that really sent the values skyrocketing.
So he created this vision of this is a building me, a billionaire, would live in. There was right off the bat this big feeling of comfort from all these other buyers that if Steve's in charge, this is going to be different.
Wealthy domestic purchasers were dropping tens of millions on units. The CEO of Paramount Group paid $33.5 million. The founder of RL Capital got a place for $26.2 million. Even Sting became an official Englishman in New York when he nabbed one of the penthouses for $65.7 million.
These are helicopter people. Their feet don't touch the ground. They go from private school to charity gala to penthouse, right? They're not interacting with the average city dweller. So they're living in this different world. And often developers are thinking about them and building for them.
And you'll find that a lot of the presidents of the brokerage houses here in New York love to make this point about the transfer taxes and how they paid so much in transfer tax.
Apartments, if you think about what the mansion tax and city and state transfer taxes were on this building, I mean, it was big. Very, very big. Thank you, Steve. The city should be thanking him.
This is how it works. When you buy an apartment here, the city and state take a little piece, and it's all based off the purchase price. So for $238 million, the transfer tax for New York City is 1.425%. So he had to pay $3.39 million. For New York State, it is 0.65%. So that's $1.55 million for that. The total transfer taxes is $4.93 million, which does sound like a lot of money, but we're going to see in a moment that this man makes tons of money, like $1 billion a year. So when you look at the percentages of things, it really is very small. And remember, these taxes are a one-time tax. They don't keep coming every single year like the property tax does. It just happens to be one time. And also, when this is a new construction, during new construction, a lot of times the seller is willing to pay these taxes. So I don't even know if the buyer did it, but actually look at Ken Griffin's true tax burden and what he paid. I broke it down here where each year you see, and he does pay a lot of money. I mean, $516,000 is a lot of money, but he is a Billy. He's a Billy boy. He makes $1 billion a year. So we have to look at all how these numbers relate against what he actually is making. Every number, just because 516 is a big number, it is a big number. But $1 billion is an even bigger number. And that's the why it's based off of it. And if you think about it, his $1 billion a year, he's only paying 0.22%. It's really quite small. And if you look at how much time that takes to make, it's only about 4 hours. His whole compensation for the year, the condo cost him $560,000 in property tax. And that nowadays is 1.5 hours of his work. A lot of times, if you look back here, 4 hours work, 4 hours work, 1.5 hours work. He literally is paying his tax bill while he's sleeping. Because these numbers are based off of 365 24/7. This isn't, 5 days a week, 9 to 5. So when he was paying his underpaid tax bill, he had to pay $4 million. Yes, that is a lot. Plus he had to pay $4.4 million for all the transfer taxes, all that kind of stuff. So let's just say he paid in $11 million. But what he should have paid was $98.9, almost $99 million is what the bill should have been if he actually was taxed like how everybody else was taxed. So now what is happening with the new pied-à-terre rules is it's almost like a little catch-up time. We're going to catch up in this first 2 years and tax everybody hard. And if you want to stay, great. You'll pony up the money because he's not going to sell it. It's a crown jewel. It's like one of the best apartments he'll ever have. He's very lucky. He's right place and right time. You could never really put that together again. So that's why he's not going to sell it. So he'll be paying $14 million a year for the next couple years. And then after that, it's $3 million a year. So it's, it's pretty equitable. But even with this new law, he should, if you base it on how other people pay, he should have been paying $61 million from 2019 to 2026. There should have been another $61.6 million. So that $4 million or $5 million that he paid in transfer taxes, he's all good because he should have paid 61. So he's still up by another $56 million. So Ken Griffin's all right. Don't lament him too much. Energy doubled this past year. When I say energy, I mean oil. Oil is the thing that runs the world still. Our dollar is called the petrodollar because the deal that we made with the Middle East back in the day was that, hey, you produce all the oil, we'll buy it, but when you sell your oil, you can only take dollars for it. That's the deal. You can only take USD. And it's a great deal for us because everybody on the planet needs oil. And if you have to have dollars in order to buy that oil, well, great. Now everyone has to have dollars. And then when you have lots of extra dollars, you can come and buy real estate here. You can come buy the stock market here. You can come buy precious metals here. You can do whatever you want. But you have to spend. You have to be growing our kind of economy, which is great for us. But as things grow and as inflation happens and money printing happens, we understand that there's going to be budget shortfalls and there's going to be deficits. And how do we make up for the deficit? So Mamdani is actually making a very shrewd business decision to say, hey, we are going to go after the people who do not live here full-time, who do not participate in our society full-time, but we still want you to be here. But if you get this benefit, you're going to have to pay a little bit extra if you don't want to live here all the time, which I think is totally fair and totally capitalist. Ken Griffin should be happy about it, in all honesty. He gave Trump $1 million for his inauguration party. He's put Eric Adams had tons of money going towards him. He supports the people who have doubled energy prices. So I think that he should also support Mamdani doubling these taxes. It only makes sense. And we know that he's actually doing the right thing. We know it because in society nowadays, there is always a politician who is saying the quiet part out loud. And this one we've got Ron DeSantis.
The problem with
Meatball.
Ron DeSanctimonious, he needs a personality transplant, and those are not yet available.
Meatball Ron or Ron DeSanctimonious, whatever nickname you like.
Is it Ron DeSanctimonious or Meatball Ron?
And he said the quiet part out loud.
We're going to focus on homestead exemption for Floridians, understanding that you are going to have Canadians. Honestly, some of these rich people that come from Brazil, they'll buy this big house in like Coconut Grove in South Florida. I don't care if they get taxed. Why would I care about giving them a tax cut? I want to help Floridians with that. So there's going to be a lot of tax base here that would not even be affected.
What can I say? They always tell you exactly what the real answer is. Mamdani's doing the right thing. That is the end of part 1, and I will see you next time for part 2. Thank you so much for listening. This content is for entertainment only and does not constitute financial advice. For personalized fiduciary counsel, please retain my professional services.